for today is, who is your king? Who have you been submitting to? Who have you given authority over your life? And what have you made king over your life? Hello Lila's fam, welcome to Let Your Light So Shine. My name is Monica and I'm so glad to have you here. Today my topic is, who is your king? Who have you made your master and Lord? Who have you been submitting to? Whom have you made God and master over your life? Today we'll be looking at how you may have made something or someone king over your life without quite realizing it. My passage for today is 1 Samuel 8 verses 4 to 20. This passage is a bit long, but please stay with me through it all. You will get to understand why we had to take this lengthy passage. Please grab your Bibles and let us look at this passage together. Then all the elders of Israel gathered together and came to Samuel at Ramah and said to him, "Look, you are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Now make us a king to judge us like all the nations." But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, "Give us a king to judge us." So Samuel prayed to the Lord. And the Lord said to Samuel, "Heed the voice of the people in all that they say to you, for they have not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. According to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even to this day, with which they have forsaken me and served other gods, so they are doing to you also. Now therefore heed their voice. However, you shall solemnly forewarn them, and show them the behavior of the king who will reign over them." So Samuel took all the words of the Lord to the people who asked him for a king. And he said, "This will be the behavior of the king who will reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for his own chariots and to be his horsemen, and some will run before his chariots. He will appoint captains over his thousands and captains over his 50s, will set some to plow his ground and reap his harvest, and some to make his weapons of war and equipment for his chariots. He will take your daughters to be perfumers, cooks, and bakers, and he will take the best of your fields, your vineyards, and your olive groves, and give them to his servants. He will take a tenth of your grain and your vintage, and give it to his officers and servants. And he will take your male servants, your female servants, your finest young men, and your donkeys, and put them to his work. He will take a tenth of your sheep, and you will be his servants. And you will cry out in that day because of your king, whom you have chosen for yourselves, and the Lord will not hear you in that day." Nevertheless, the people refused to obey the voice of Samuel, and they said, "No, but we will have a king over us, that we also may be like all the nations, and that our king may judge us and go out before us and fight our battles." So that is the passage. At this point in time, the children of Israel, that is the Israelites, were already in the promised land. Now they had this priest called Samuel. Samuel had grown up in the temple, and he had been raised there and became a priest in the temple. When Samuel was old, he appointed his two sons, Joel and Abijah, to be judges over Israel. But those boys failed him woefully. They did not follow the precepts that had been set for them. They did things their own way. They took bribes. They did everything wrong, and they perverted justice. And so the people were upset. They came to Samuel and said, "Your sons are not walking in your way. Now get us a king that will judge us." And Samuel was upset. Samuel was upset not just because they had discarded his sons. It was not about that. It was because they said they wanted a king. Now, what a king does is far more than what a judge does. A judge is not the leader of the people. He only is an arbitrator. He is the adjudicator between one party and the other in case there is a dispute. That is what a judge does. But a king does far more than that. He leads the people to battle. He counts the people, that is, he does census from time to time. Sometimes he speaks to God on their behalf. He listens to what the prophet or the priest says, and then he carries it out. There is so much that a king does. But then these Israelites, in discarding the children of Samuel, who were bad judges, also discarded God's authority in their lives. They said they didn't want the judges. And I feel to myself, they could have chosen judges. They could have said, we don't want these judges. Give us another set of judges or give us another person as a judge. They could have done that. But instead, they wanted to overhaul the whole system. They wanted God to no longer be their king. They forgot. Or they just felt that the judges had become their king. But God was their king. And so they were expressly not just asking for judges, but asking for a king. They said they wanted to be like the other nations around them. They were a unique people, a people set apart, a holy nation, a chosen tribe. That's what they were. They were a chosen nation. And yet they said they wanted to be like every other person around them. Can you imagine that? Imagine a people that were handpicked by God. A special people who had God first hand. They had God to speak to. They had God leading them directly. They didn't need to start going through kings to follow human wisdom. And yet they were saying they didn't want that thing that was up there, that was so good, that was so magnificent and so excellent. They didn't want the perfect ruler. They wanted the human, fallible ruler. They wanted a ruler who could make mistakes. They wanted a ruler who was like the other rulers of the other cities and countries around them. That was comparison. And not just was it comparison, but they were comparing themselves with people that were beneath them. They were up here, they had the God of, he called himself the God of Israel. He called himself after them, meaning that he's their personal God. And yet they said they don't want the God of Israel. They wanted to be like other nations that were following human judgment, that were following human direction, that were following human instruction and human intuition. And then when they went to meet Samuel with this request, Samuel was upset. And God also was upset. He said, they have rejected me. This is not just about you, Samuel. They have rejected me like they have been rejecting me from of old. Like they have been rejecting me even when I was still leading them through the wilderness onto this promised land that I have brought them to. They have been rejecting me. And he said to Samuel, whatever they want, if they want a king, give them that king. But God forewarned them. He sent Samuel to tell them that this king they are looking for is not going to be all that. The king is not going to be all that. He's not going to be a perfect king. He's not going to be a loving king. He's not going to be a kind king. He will not put them first. And they said they didn't care. What were the qualities of this human king that they were asking for? He will make them his servants. He will take the best of their crops and their wine, and he will give them to his own servants. He will use them. They will be beneath the king. Instead of the king to work for them, the people will be working for the king. They will enrich the king. They will toil for the king. They will work for the king, and they will give their very best to the king. Their sons, their daughters will work for the king. Everything that they had will submit to the interests of the king, to the betterment of the king. And when Samuel said this to the people, those strange people, very strange people I will say, those strange people said, yes, we accept it. Give us a king and let us be like other nations. They wanted so badly to be like other nations. And it makes me wonder, you have conquered some of these nations. You have seen these nations fall. You have seen these nations submit to your God. Why do you want to be like them? What is so special about them? You are above them. Why do you want to come down here and have a human king who has human mistakes, who has human flaws, who has human understanding that can never compare to what God tells you or what God does or what God knows? Why do you want a human king with his frailties? Why do you want a human king with his mistakes? And even when they were fully told, this is what the human king will do. He will take and take and take and take from you and not stop taking, and your very lives you will bow before the king. And they said yes. They said yes. To be forewarned and not take heed? They said yes. And I find it strange. Maybe some of us are doing those things today because some people just feel, I care about my present, leave the future where it is. The future is in the future. I don't know what is there and I don't care. But that is one mistake that many of us make, and we start to regret it in the future. You see that future? As long as you have life, you will go and meet the future. Not only will you meet the future, you will meet what you have kept for yourself in that future. Because one day you will get to the future. You see, tomorrow, when you go to bed tonight and you wake up tomorrow, that tomorrow is your future. So you have to start preparing. You have to start putting things in place. Don't go and lay up regret for yourself in the future. Start doing things consciously. Don't make mistakes that your future self will not thank you for. You're saying you don't care about the future now because you cannot see it, because you don't want to bother, because you want to live one day at a time. You want to take each day as it comes. But I'm telling you, if you have life, that future that you have messed up, you will go and meet it. You will go and meet it, you will go and see it, you will not avoid it, as long as you have breath in your lungs. So why are you making up a messy future for yourself? And just like these Israelites were warned, that was what exactly Saul, who was their first king, did. He put himself first. Saul did not obey. He did whatever he liked. Those people were his servants. He was their Lord. He was their master. They submitted their crops. They submitted everything to the king. The king did not put them first. He did not put them first, just as they had been warned. Another thing I found interesting was that this same history of Eli, Hophni, and Phinehas, who were sons of Eli, was happening again in the time of Samuel. Remember that Samuel was like an apprentice of Eli. Eli was the priest under which Samuel got his tutelage. That means that Samuel learned from Eli. Now, it was Samuel who came and told Eli that God was going to destroy him and his two sons because of what they had done. And what did Eli say? Eli said, he is God. Let him do whatever pleases him. And indeed, God did what pleased him. God did what he had told Samuel he was going to do to Eli. And now that cycle was repeating itself because Eli was a good priest, but his sons did not toe his line. His sons did not obey God. His sons did not keep to the guidelines that priests were supposed to follow. And now here we have Samuel. Samuel was a great man. The Bible says that God did not let any of the words of Samuel fall to the ground. Meaning that whatever Samuel told you, whatever he decreed, it came to pass. And yet he had these two sons. He had these two sons whom he made judges, feeling probably because they are my flesh and blood, they will do well. They learned from me firsthand. So they will treat Israel well. They will judge Israel well. They will be fair. They will be just. And instead, they were the opposite, the direct opposite. They perverted justice, they took bribes, and they made the people lose faith in the justice system. Such that they did not just lose faith in the justice system, they lost faith in God, they lost faith in the whole system as a whole, and said, see, this God thing, where God is our king, we are not even seeing the king, I'm not sure we want him, let's have a human king. That was how poorly those two sons did. They did not follow the footsteps of their father Samuel, and it was such a disappointment. So I found that interesting that cycles can repeat themselves. Samuel grew up in that environment where he saw Eli and his two sons make that mistake, and now his own sons, Samuel's own sons, were also wronging God. They were also offending God. They were also doing the wrong thing by the people. And so the people said, give us a king. One other thing I found interesting was that even though the children of Israel had left Egypt, they had left the wilderness and they were now in the promised land, the servant mentality had not left them. They were still servants mentally. That is why they said, yes, give us a king. Even though we are going to submit all that we have, including our lives, to the king, give us a human king. It was so strange. God was trying so hard to make these people independent. He was trying so hard to make them see that they were a sovereign nation. But they kept having this repeated cycle, this pattern, this sick mentality that they were servants. And so when Samuel said to them, he is going to make you his servants, they said, it's okay, it's okay. I'm sure they thought, well, that's who we are. We are servants, so what does it matter? What difference does it make? If he makes us his servants, that's who we are. That's what we identify as. It's so sad. It's so sickening. It's so surprising. It's so disappointing. And so these children of Israel, not only did they reject Samuel and his sons, they rejected the kingship of God. These Israelites, these free but mentally bound Israelites, not only did they reject Samuel and his sons, they also rejected God. They forgot their history with God. They forgot what they had been through. They forgot the stories that their fathers and grandfathers told them. They forgot all that God had done. It is surprising that God picks a people by hand and he says, you will be my people. You are a chosen nation. You are a holy nation. You are a chosen race. You are a people set apart. You are a unique people. And he also told them, I give you the Sabbath. You don't work as servants. You don't work as underlings anymore. You are now masters of your own selves. You are now in charge in the promised land, a land that is flowing with milk and honey. Go and soar. Go and enjoy. Go and be all that I've called you to be. And yet, these people did not believe that they were freeborns. They did not believe. They still felt like underlings. They still felt like lower beings. They still felt like second-class citizens when they were the only citizens of the land. They were the first class. They were the masters. They were the sovereign. But yet in their minds, they were still the underlings. And so they were looking for something or someone to submit to, so that they will feel like, yes, this is the norm. They would feel comfortable. They will feel like this is where they belong, so that they will feel comfortable in their own skin, like, this is what we identify as. They wanted something they could relate to. They wanted something that they had first-hand experience with, which was what? Serving, giving, servitude. That was what these Israelites were used to. And so when God told them they were freeborns, when God told them that they had no one to submit to, they went to look for something or someone to submit to. The irony is that if they were not submitting to Baal, if they were not submitting to Asheroth, if they were not submitting to other deities, they now wanted to submit to a human king. Maybe the idea was just too much for them. And so I'm saying to you in the same vein, do you see yourself as an underling? Do you feel that there is something or someone you must submit to in order for you to feel like, okay, you're yourself. This is who you are. This is who you identify as. When Christ has called you a freeborn, you are a freeborn. Another thing that the Israelites did not realize is that they were breaking the first commandment. Thou shalt have no other God before me. Thou shalt not make for thyself any graven thing, nor the likeness of anything that is in heaven above, nor of those things beneath, or of those things in the water. Thou shalt not adore them nor serve them. These Israelites were so paganistic. They were always thinking like pagans. They were not thinking like a chosen race, like a holy nation, like a people set apart. No. They never thought like that. These people always wanted one deity or the other. That is why back in the wilderness, when they did not see Moses, their leader, for a long time, they made for themselves a golden calf. They want something concrete. They want something to see. They want something tangible. They want something to hold on to. Are you the same? I hope you know that your God is spirit. He is not human. He is not going to come down so that you see him every day, commonize him, and then you feel like, okay, this is God. There has to be some mystery about God. Otherwise, you will never worship him. You will never respect him. You will never honor him. And you will never make him your God. So if you're looking for something that you can see on a daily basis, I don't think God is going to become something you commonize, something you see, something you hold on to, so that you feel like, yes, you have a God. Your God is spirit. Your God is holy. Your God is more than you can imagine. His ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. What are you putting in the place of God? Who are you making king over your life? Who are you making Lord and Master over your life? If you're making anything, whether it is a job, whether it is a spouse, whether it is, I don't know, a teacher, a rabbi, whatever, whoever it is that you're making a God, that thing that you're bowing down to, that thing that you're submitting to, that thing that you are laying prostrate before, I want to tell you that you are giving that thing or that person the place of God, and you are breaking the first commandments. Enthrone God today. Put him in the place of king in your life, and do not give that slot. Do not give that space to any other person or any other thing. There is only one true God, and that is Yahweh. There is only one true God, and he alone has that space. No matter how badly you feel that people are doing whatever it is they are doing, do not take matters into your hands. Because that's what the children of Israel did. They wanted a complete overhaul. They were like, no, we are done with this judge thing. You had a problem with the judge thing. Did you have a problem with the king thing? Because that was God's space. And then you say you don't just want a judge now, you want a king, you want an all-compassing, you want this, you want that. So you kicked God out. If you've been kicking God out of your life, you had better bring him back in. You had better reassess and see where you have been doing it wrong. Reassess and see where you have been giving something or someone the place of God in your life. And bring that thing down. Bring that thing down from the position of God. Bring that thing down from that elevated height where you have placed it. And place God on the throne. Place him on the throne of your life. Make him the highest, the greatest, the one you listen to, the one you submit to, the one you bow down to. That is who God should be. Not some distant second. Not something you're wondering, should I not? Yes, you should. It's God and God alone. If you've been carrying on like the children of Israel and putting some other thing or some other person as king in your life, I need you to fix that today, because that is idolatry. That is you serving an idol. God is God alone, and he alone should you worship. Worship God in truth and in spirit, and stop elevating things. Stop bowing to things, situations, pressure, people, society. Do not make them God over your life. In all situations, make God the God of your life. And how do you make God king? It's by praying to him. It's by communing with him, and by listening when he speaks to you. It's by obeying his word in the Bible. It's by doing things only by the precepts that God has placed for you there in the Bible. Those precepts that have been laid down for you in the Bible, those guidelines that are guidelines for not just one area of your life, but for every area of your life. Follow them. Follow those precepts, follow those guidelines, and in that way, you will be enthroning God and making him king of your life. I hope that this video has blessed you. Please drop your comments below and tell me how this video has blessed you. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video and you would like to see more uplifting videos that will help you become a better Christian, please subscribe to this channel. Simply click the subscribe button and get subscribed to this channel today. It is completely free of charge. Also, do not forget to click the notification button so you'll be notified as soon as I update. Please like this video if you found it worthwhile, and please share it with those who need to change their ways today and start building a closer, better relationship with God. Thank you very much for watching this video to the very end. Thank you for spending time with me. Please keep watching my videos here on Let Your Light So Shine. Wherever you are, whatever you do, let your light so shine. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now. Please subscribe, click the notification button, like this channel, share our videos, and follow us on social media. Thank you very much.